to perfectly place every dish to his standards. But it's no wonder he was like this, as his mom was his original drill sergeant.
A sweet moment during a service filled with so many sad ones. Prime Minister Stephen Harper offered a special message to Cirillo's son.
And may his son, young Marcus Daniel Cirillo, someday find comfort in the fact that our entire country looks up to his dad with pride, with gratitude, with deep, abiding respect.
With heavy hearts, they honored their fallen brother and each other. And through it all, 5-year-old Marcus, a heart-wrenching reminder of how senseless this was. A last salute, a sign of respect, and a final farewell. Lori Graham, CTV News, Hamilton.
The cathedral held about 800 invited guests today. Most of the mourners, thousands, were strangers out on the street, standing 4 deep, waving flags and saluting a soldier. CTV's Scott Laurie has that story.
On the packed sidewalks along the procession's path, tears, salutes, and spontaneous applause. The city, known as Steel Town, showed raw strength and emotion.
But at a time like this, I think having that public support and that sort of solemn sort of connectedness was really appreciated.
Making that solemn connection to very young and veterans of the Second World War.
You're looking at someone who went down serving the country. It's very hard to put it in words.
These members of the Argylls tragically familiar with burying their comrades, but not someone who could have been their grandson.
24 is just your start, you know, you want to get going. And I looked at his son there and just, you know, he would just cry.
This scene of grief was cocooned in tight security. A perimeter of barricaded streets, rooftop snipers, sniffer dogs, and armored vehicles. In the crowd and in the procession, armed OPP and Hamilton police. As far as the eye could see, officers and uniforms. People in Hamilton are not only leaving messages of thanks here for Corporal Cirillo, there's also another grand gesture for his family and specifically to his 5-year-old son, Marcus. A trust fund at TD Bank for a young boy who will grow up without his father. For many, an overwhelming sight, little Marcus walking in the procession as he wore his father's regimental cap, an image that moved Toronto police officer Jeff Strite and his young family.
It makes me think of my family and what I do have and what he has lost.
These Americans rode up especially for this ceremony, a point, they say, of solidarity.
It's nice that the community comes out for a fallen soldier like this.
The last fallen soldier honored with this ceremonial carriage, a 103-year-old brigadier general just last week. It pained many to see it with Corporal Cirillo's casket, only 24 years old. Hero to many, especially to his young son. Scott Laurie, CTV News, Hamilton, Ontario.
As we know, 2 Canadian soldiers were killed on home soil last week. The family of Warrant Officer Patrice Vincent has remained very private since the attack that took his life. Today, though, there was a moving tribute by police, firefighters, and members of the armed forces who gathered at a military base in Saint-Hubert in a solemn show of respect for Vincent. They formed a spontaneous procession, driving to Vincent's base in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. A full military funeral for Patrice Vincent will be held on Saturday. Now, both Vincent and Cirillo were honored today by Governor General David Johnston in Belgium to mark the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Ypres. From the historic Menin Gate Memorial, dedicated to the Commonwealth soldiers with unmarked graves, he asked dignitaries to remember these 2 Canadian soldiers.
As we do so, let all of us resolutely declare our universal admiration and gratitude for our military, our constant shield against those who wish us harm.
The Queen, who is Colonel-in-Chief of Cirillo's Highlanders Regiment, also issued a statement today saying, "I send my deepest sympathy to all those affected by this tragedy, in particular to members of Corporal Cirillo's own family." Now, right on the Queen's doorstep today, the security level was increased because of the Ottawa shooting to protect one of the most popular tourist sites in London. Now, at the changing of the guard at Horse Guards Parade in Whitehall, there are armed soldiers in position. The move has been made over fear of attacks on the ceremonial guards. The White House also stepped up security at key government buildings across the U.S. today. Homeland Security warned police to be vigilant for lone wolf attacks like the one in Ottawa. And the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry got a first-hand look at the scene of the tragedy today as he offered his support in person. CTV's Ottawa Bureau Chief Robert Fife has the details.
RCMP tactical officers kept watch as U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry arrived at the War Memorial where Corporal Nathan Cirillo was gunned down by Michael Zioff Bibeau. Here to pay honor to Cirillo and fellow soldier Patrice Vincent, run down by Canadian extremist Martin Cirillo. Both victims targeted by homegrown terrorists upset by Canada's role in the U.S.-led fight against ISIS.
I have come here to Ottawa today as a friend in a time of mourning,
offering personal condolences and prayers
to the families of Corporal Nathan Cirillo, a young father who died while serving his country with bravery and honor. We mourn the loss of Warrant Officer Patrice Vincent.
Kerry extended sympathies to Constable Sam Sun, wounded in the ankle when Bibeau stormed the center block, and to the man who ultimately killed Bibeau.
Sergeant-at-Arms Kevin Vickers' selfless action to protect his colleagues and those on Parliament Hill.
Kerry went to the center block to see firsthand where the shootout took place, later meeting the Prime Minister.
Really a great show of solidarity on the part of our American neighbor.
The visit was more than a show of solidarity. In a closed-door meeting with Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird, Kerry discussed plans to block online radicalization and track terrorist financing on the World Wide Web.
To reduce the ability of ISIL to be able to grow its ranks and grow its coffers.
The attacks happened after Parliament voted to join the U.S.-led air war. CF-18 fighter jets are expected to see action by the weekend. Lisa.
All right, Bob Fife from the War Memorial tonight. We have more on the timeline, the current level of threat, and today's massive outpouring of respect for Corporal Nathan Cirillo at CTV News.